Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julius once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1069, All Things Are Brought Into This World with Hope. That chapter is a mouthful to say. It's one of the longest chapter titles we have from the Viz manga translation. The art this week is Dufeld and his Scientific Research Station for Peace, MADS. Obviously, being a member of the dark underworld, the seedy underbelly of the One Piece world that we live in, this is clearly a front. Either that or he really is a good guy, and that's the surprise plot twist, or this is a flashback to when he used to be like the loan shark who, or not a loan shark, but maybe like a loner who gave the money to Mads not knowing what it did. We need some more details on this. My guess, though, he's a mob boss kind of guy, and this is his front where he lets these guys research their nefarious scientific schemes. So, next chapter we'll probably get a little more detail on that. But anyways, let's get into the actual chapter itself, which starts off with Luffy and Lucci staring each other down and kind of having like a, what are you doing here? And Luffy's like, why are you on this island, Lucci? And Lucci's looking at him like, this is a government island. I'm supposed to be here. What are you doing here? As Lucci is kind of just staring at Luffy, Stussie's next to him and she's just like, hey Lucci, I know you have a history with this guy, but he is an emperor. We are here on a mission. We're not supposed to destroy anything, so we have to, make sure we don't engage. We're not allowed to attack an emperor of the sea without proper orders. This is there's a hierarchy, there's rules here. And as Lucci's telling this to, or as Stussie's telling this to Lucci, Luffy is looking over Atlas and he's like, oh my gosh, weird robot girl, are you okay? Chopper, is there something you can do? And Chopper's just like, I think this is more of Frankie's department, really. It seems like, seems more like a technological thing. But regardless, Lucci, is kind of just standing there, tells him, she got in our way, this is how it happens, and Luffy just looks up at him and goes, she gave us food. And that's a death sentence if you know how Luffy is as a person. So, no matter what happens next, it's going down. Speaking of things going down, we cut to the Marine headquarters, and Akainu is being informed on the situation that Rob Lucci is on the island, Straw Hat's there, and Lucci is not to engage in combat. So, conveniently, Kizaru happens to be heading to Egghead on his own business, which, I don't know, Sentomaru and Kizaru have worked together before. Sentomaru works for Vegapunk as his bodyguard, so I don't know if maybe like Kizaru's there because he's friendly to Vegapunk or how this is going to go down, but the important thing to remember here is under no circumstance is Rob Lucci allowed to engage in combat against the Emperor of the Sea, Straw Hat Luffy. So naturally, we cut to the next panel where Luffy is engaging in combat with Rob Lucci, and Luffy has jumped straight into Gear 5th. Personally, I thought that it was going to be like a ramping system, how Luffy almost died, actually kind of did die, before his Devil Fruit awakened. So I thought this was going to have to be like Lucci and Luffy go at it in Gear 2nd, Luffy has to do some things in Gear 4th, and then Luffy brings it up to Gear 5th. Nah, Luffy just, boom, I'm Nika, and here we go. And he's not the only one with awakening. See, everyone was under the guise of the thought that Rob Lucci would master hockey and, kind of like gain a power-up in that sense to fight Luffy another day. But Lucci has also awakened his Devil Fruit and has obtained some pretty good hockey himself, as we can see floating around him. He's almost like a dark version of Luffy. His awakened form is kind of an in-between from his life return, thin form and his, big cat form, forming this like mid-scale, extra sharp teeth, hockey cloud floating around him in this dark aura similar to Snake Man, Luffy's Snake Man. But he is awakened, and the two of them are going at it, but it seems like a fair fight, but Luffy also doesn't seem to be sweating this fight. What's more important about this fight is about who's watching it rather than the two who are actually engaged. As Nami and the others are seeing it on the security cameras, Vegapunk comes bursting into the room, the real Vegapunk, and he sort of runs up past Shaka and he's like, Shaka, is he there? Is it the White Warrior? And they look, and yeah, it's the White Warrior. And he's like, oh, he's magnificent. He looks just like the ancient god Nika. And Sanji's like, that, what do you mean Nika? That's Luffy. And he goes, okay, how much do you guys know about his powers? What can you tell me? And Nami's like, we don't know anything about this. This is new. This is one of his Gum Gum things. And he kind of pauses. And Vegapunk looks at them and he's like, Gum Gum? The Gum Gum fruit doesn't exist. That's not a devil fruit. Even in the oldest devil fruit encyclopedias, there is no record of the Gum Gum fruit. Of course, this comes as a shock to everyone but the readers, because we learned way back about 20, 30, 40 or so chapters ago that Luffy's devil fruit has a different name. But for the Straw Hat crew, this is news. Only Jinbei, Chopper, Brook, and Zoro will not know at the end of this conversation. But Vegapunk tells them that Nika was a god that was lost to time. His name was strucken from all ancient text, but as long as people wish for him to return, he will. Because all things in this world come to life through hope. That includes devil fruits. This is the origin of our devil fruits. Devil fruits come from the willpower of people, from the desire of people to have certain things happen. Gee, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that. I would love to have this ability, or if only this could be possible. So, a surgeon hoping and desiring for the ability to just pull what's wrong out of his patient, or a little girl hoping that her dog gains sentience and is able to talk to her, or heck, some dude who just needs an extra arm to scratch his back. Devil fruits are the willpower of the people. As a result, they are the antithesis of nature, and therefore the mother of nature, the ocean, rejects devil fruit users. So, devil fruits sort of exist in their own dimension and come into being when the need for them arises. Which means, if you've come up with your own devil fruit, it's probably canon. Which means the Hoot Hoot fruit is real, and all of its different models. I can eat one and become an owl man like I've always dreamed as a little child. That's nice. That's neat. If I would eat a devil fruit that I made, it would definitely be a zone type. I would want to turn into an owl. But if I could eat a devil fruit that is actually canon, I'd eat the Gum Gum fruit. And I've been saying that before I knew it was the Nika fruit. So don't think I'm going for the OP one. I just really like the rubber powers. There's also this neat little bit as Vegapunk is explaining to them the origin of devil fruits, where we see Lucci and Luffy fighting on the little Jumbotrons, and the two of them connect their fists in the middle, and the big shockwave happens. We even get a zoom in on each of their faces. It is a almost shot-for-shot recreation of the first time Luffy and Lucci's punches met. So that's a nice little Easter egg. Only this time the two of them are in their fully awakened forms. I'm sure Oda had a lot of fun drawing that. But as the two of them are duking it out, Sentomaru shows up. And Sentomaru has with him S-Hawk, S-Shark, and S-Snake. And they are just adorable. I'm sorry. I know seraphims are supposed to be terrifying. They are able to level cities, and we saw S-Hawk actually manage to get a couple good swings at Blackbeard. So these guys can take on emperors without a problem. But they're just so cute. They're so little. They're just kids. It's adorable. I doubt they have their own personalities because, pacifistas don't have personalities. But they're so cute! Anyways, so Sentomaru shows up with the Seraphims, and he's kind of watching Luffy and Lucci, and he's like, okay, Straw Hat's here. He's a pirate. Lucci's here. He's CP0, so I'm supposed to help Lucci take on Straw Hat, right? And Vegapunk tells him over the intercom, no, the opposite. Lucci's here to kill me, so we're going to stop him. And he goes, well, doesn't that make me a traitor? And Vegapunk says, let me put it to you this way. You can either help the government that signs your paychecks, or you can help me, the guy that raised you and took you in when you were sick and dying and saved you. And I've only been helping you since you were a little kid. I mean, come on, I've only fed and clothed you and raised you. And okay, fine. Sentomaru was like, just you got to twist my arm about it. All right. So he's getting ready to help, and Kaku's like, oh, that's not good. That's 3 Seraphims. Okay. If I can take one and Stussy can take the other. Okay, Esper, you take on one of the Seraphims. And Esper, is getting ready. And Sentomaru just sort of looks at him and goes, Esper, take him out. And Esper, the Bartholomew Kuma Seraphim, just kind of looks. Pew! Just starts shooting at him. And Kaku's like, oh, so much for that. And as he's getting away, Stussy explains how Seraphim hierarchy works. So pacifistas obey a specific chain of command. They obey anyone who is holding a little chip that allows them control. It's a control chip. If you have that, you have authority over all pacifistas. I assume this also extends to the original models, but for now we know it affects the Seraphim. After that, Sentomaru has authority over you. So if I say, Seraphim, sit down, and Sentomaru says, Seraphim, stand up, Seraphim's going to stand up. I can't stop that. My commands cannot be overridden by Sentomaru. Above Sentomaru is Vegapunk. Vegapunk can give them any command he wants, and even Sentomaru can't stop him. Above Vegapunk is the 5 Elders. I thought for sure that Vegapunk was going to have like a super fail-safe button where he's always in control of the weapons, but it would make sense that maybe the 5 Elders oversaw this and made sure that there was nothing that could turn them against them specifically. I do think it's interesting that the Celestial Dragons aren't on that list. So, if I had a control chip, could I tell a Seraphim to attack the Celestial Dragons? Or do all Celestial Dragons have a control chip on them? Because we did see them controlling Kuma when he was like a robo-slave. So maybe the control chips are something that all the Celestial Dragons have. Regardless, with this control chip, Sentomaru still has the authority here. So he's got 4 of the Seraphims helping him out. As Sentomaru is trying to make sense of everything, Luffy sort of comes over and is like, hey, you're the guy with the axe. What's going on, Axeman? And he's like, don't give me that nickname. We barely know each other. We're not even friends. Anyways, are you here to help Old Man Punk? And Luffy goes, yeah, he asked me, so we're just going to do that. And he goes, that's not super reassuring, given that you're an emperor and you look really weird right now, but I feel like you can pull it off. Okay, so yeah, I guess. All right, so I'll just... And before he can even finish the sentence, Rob Lucci tears into him, not with finger pistol, but with handgun. Or hand pistol, depending on your translation. I thought handgun was a lot more clever. But now that Sentomaru has been taken out, the Seraphims will obey Rob Lucci with the chip. Before you can say, well, what about Vegapunk and his, like, intercoms? Apparently, it has to be a direct verbal order that cannot be over transponder snail. So, even the 5 Elders have to actually show up themselves to stop the Seraphims. I wonder if Kizaru can do anything about the Seraphims. He probably has a chip. I would assume anyone in authority has a chip. Regardless, Luffy, Jinbei, Chopper, and an unconscious Bonnie against 3 members of CP0 and 4 Seraphims. If you thought Luffy and Lucci was going to be a quick fight, much like I did, now Lucci's got the backup worthy of making Luffy actually put some sweat in, but I think the rest of the Straw Hat crew is going to come down and help. Now, I will go back for a second and mention something. Jinbei as he was running away from the fight with Chopper, they both noted the Seraphims back there, and Jinbei says, you know, those kids with dark skin, they look kind of familiar, and Chopper mentions that, and Jinbei goes, yeah, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, but they look like the original 7 warlords. Now, in the Viz translation, it says the original. Every other translation I saw said just they look like members of the 7 warlords, so we don't know if there's going to be a buggy Seraphim, unfortunately, but it's still safe to assume that there will be a Crocodile, a Doflamingo, and a Gecko Moria Seraphim. However, the part that I did find interesting was Jinbei was the one saying, did they clone us? That means Jinbei didn't know about this. That means the other warlords probably don't know about these things either. I don't know if that's going to come into play later, but if nothing else, we at least know that the warlords did not agree to have their DNA samples taken. Either that, or they just didn't think anything of it. They thought maybe like a prick of blood was able to help track them down if they went rogue, or maybe their fingerprints or what have you. But we know for a fact now that the warlords did not know they were getting clones, which also makes a fight between Jinbei and his Seraphim a lot more confusing. Now, the Hancock Seraphim is just a little girl and doesn't have the same life experiences as the current Hancock. So I'm wondering what her opinion of, like, will she attack specifically male enemies and ignore female ones? Will the Mihawk one, you know, be an honorable swordsman like the real one? We know the Jinbei had no trouble hurting people because it just sort of grabbed Nami by the neck and pinned her to the ground. But I wish the Seraphim spoke. I know they probably won't, they probably never will, but it sounds really cool and they seem really interesting. So I'm hoping there's more to them than just really strong and dangerous. If it is, though, I mean, that's okay. We're in the end game. We don't need this. We don't need Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep on top of everything else going on. I really like Seraphims. Again, they're adorable. I'm sorry. They're little kids. I know they're dangerous, but it's so cute to just see them come out and beat the crap out of anything in front of them. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see any more Seraphim action next week because we are going to be on a break. So I'll come up with something else to do, but in the meantime, thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.